Hello everyone, I'm Claire from Susan's family. Today, I'll teach you how to make the Regalia Mamianqun skirt from the Chinese Aesthetics series. This skirt adopts the style of traditional Chinese Mamianqun skirt with pleats. The Mamianqun skirt pieces crocheted with lace yarn are simple, yet full of variations. The sides cleverly use lace trim to form pleats. The Mamianqun skirt pieces are adorned with delicate flowers, making it even more elegant. It has a strong Chinese traditional style. The crochet technique is simple. Beginners can easily learn it. If you need to purchase the original material kit and receive crocheting guidance, search for the website, Susan's Family. Go directly to the store. Next, let's get to the main topic. This Mamianqun skirt is divided into the main body and accessories, which are two parts. The main body includes the Mamianqun skirt piece, pleats, and waistband. Accessories include the lining, zipper, and decorations. First, crochet two identical Mamianqun skirt pieces separately. Then, join them with lace trim to form the pleats. Next, crochet the waistband. Finally, make and attach the accessories. Next, we will first learn the crocheting method for the main body. Let's start with crocheting the Mamianqun skirt piece. Here is the finished product. The crocheting methods for the front and back Mamianqun skirt pieces are identical. It is divided into section 1 and edging parts. Start with a foundation chain. Work back and forth along the chain for section 1. Then switch colors and crochet the edging around section 1. There are quite a few stitches used. All of them are labeled in the chart, so I won't explain each one individually. Next, please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Start with a foundation chain. Before actual crocheting, let's first learn the basic posture for crocheting. To make it easier for everyone to see clearly, I'll use thick yarn for the demonstration. For specific yarn, for color schemes and crochet hook sizes, please refer to the detail page of our product and the paper charts. Wrap the yarn tail around the left little finger once. Pass it through between the middle finger and index finger. Then pinch the yarn tail with your thumb and middle finger. Pick up the crochet hook with your right hand. Place it underneath the yarn. Wrap the yarn counterclockwise. With the left hand's thumb and middle finger, pinch the crossing point of the loop. Place the hook to the left side of the yarn. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. This slip knot does not count as a stitch. Tighten it slightly. Now start crocheting chains. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. One chain is done. Each braid like this counts as one stitch. Don't pull the chain too tight. Continue crocheting chains. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. This is the second stitch. Repeat this process. Keep crocheting chains. Crochet all the way down to the required number of stitches. Here, my sample has a smaller number of foundation chain. The actual number of chains, it's all marked on the chart. Just chain the required number of stitches. Pay attention to making the foundation chain a bit looser, so it will be more convenient for crocheting later. 3, 4, that completes the foundation chain. Now move on to H1. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. This counts as one double crochet. It corresponds to the last chain of the foundation chain. Then, work a double crochet in the second chain from the hook. That is the 5th chain from right to left. Yarn over. On the right side, the chain form a V-shaped braid. pick up both loops at the top of this chain. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over. Pull through the first 2 loops on the hook. Now there are 2 loops left on the hook. Yarn over, and draw through once. 1 double crochet is done. There is a V-shaped braid on the upper right. This is the stitch of the double crochet. Continue working 1 double crochet in the next adjacent chain on the left side. Yarn over. Pick up both of these strands. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over again. Pull through the first 2 loops. Repeat this twice. 1, 2. You've completed another double crochet, then crochet a double crochet into each corresponding stitch one by one. Continue until you finish this row. Complete the last double crochet of this row. H1 is done. Now start working on H2. This row will be crocheted on the wrong side of the piece. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. Then turn over your piece. Work 1 chain. Next, work 1 DC3 tog. Yarn over. Insert into the adjacent stitch on the left. Since you're working on the wrong side, the stitch is the V-shaped braid in the upper left corner. Pay attention, it's not the stitch below the beginning chain. Yarn over. Insert into the stitch. Yarn over again. Draw the yarn through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw the yarn through the first 2 loops. Now there are 2 loops remaining on the hook. This is an incomplete double crochet. Next, work the second stitch. Yarn over. Insert into the adjacent stitch. Yarn over. Pull the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through 2 loops. This is the second incomplete double crochet. Next, in the adjacent stitch, work another incomplete double crochet. Now there are 4 loops on the hook. That's 3 incomplete double crochets. Yarn over and draw through all loops. 1 DC3 tog is done. There's a V-shaped braid at the top right. This is the DC3 tog stitch. Then work 2 chains. Work 1 DC3 tog next. First, pick up the adjacent stitch on the left and make 3 incomplete double crochets. Now there are 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw through all loops. Another DC3 tog is done. Work 2 more chains. Let's take a look at the piece. The pattern for this round of crochet is to work DC3 togs correspondingly. Work 2 chains as a spacer between each one. Continue all the way down following this method to finish the row. After completing the last DC3 tog, work one more chain. Then, find the top chain from the beginning chains on the left side, and pick up these 2 strands. Work 1 double crochet, H2 is now complete. Move on to H3. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. Turn over the piece. Work 3 chains. Then, in the chain to the left of the DC3 tog, work 1 single crochet. Insert. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. There are now 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through all loops once. 1 single crochet is now done. The 2 V-shaped strands on the upper right of a single crochet are the stitch of a single crochet. Work 3 more chains. In the next chain to the left of the DC3 tog, work 1 single crochet. Insert. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over again, pull through 2 loops on the hook. Another single crochet is complete. Work 3 more chains. Let's take a look at the piece. In this round, crochet single crochets correspondingly at the positions of the CH2 space. Between each single crochet, work 3 chains as a spacer. Continue working this row according to the pattern until it's complete. Finish with the last 3 chains. On the 3rd chain of the beginning chain on the left side, work 1 double crochet. H3 is now complete. Move on to H4. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. Turn the piece over. In the adjacent chain on the left side, pick up these 2 strands. Of the middle chain, work a DC3 in 1. That means you'll work 3 double crochets into this chain. One, 2, 3. And that completes the DC3 in 1. Continue to the next chain. Pick up the 2 strands of the middle chain. Work a DC3 in 1. Then work a DC3 in 1. into the middle chain of the chain space. Complete this row. When finished, work 1 double crochet into the top of the beginning chain. H4 is now complete. Move on to H5. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. Turn the piece. Work a double crochet into each stitch respectively. Pay attention to the first double crochet. Do not work it into the stitch below the beginning chain. Work the last double crochet into the top of the beginning chain. H5 is now complete. Let's take a look at the piece. The rows of double crochets from H1 and H5, where the texture is clearer, will be considered as the right side of the piece. On the wrong side, these 2 rows appear less defined. Move on to H6. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. Turn the piece. Work 1 chain. Skip these 2 double crochets. On the 3rd double crochet, work 1 double crochet. Work 1 more chain. Skip 1 stitch. Work 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Take a look at the piece. This round is worked by skipping 1 stitch and then crocheting 1 double crochet with 1 chain as a spacer between each double crochet. Continue all the way down following this method to complete the round. After finishing the last double crochet, H6 is completed. Now you can measure the dimension of the piece. If the size of the piece differs significantly from the reference size on the chart, you need to adjust your tension, or switch to a different hook size, and restart crocheting. Now move on to H7. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. Turn the piece over. Work 1 double crochet into the left large chain space. Then work 1 double crochet by picking up the next stitch. After that, work 1 double crochet in the chain. Continue all the way down, working 1 double crochet for each stitch. Keep going until you finish this row. After completing the last double crochet, H7 is done. For the rest of the section 1, the crocheting pattern is relatively simple. Let's take a look at the sample swatch. Consider H1 through H6 as 1 crochet repeat. Continue all the way down by repeating these 6 rows. Once you finish the required number of repeats, crochet another row of double crochets. The method is fairly straightforward. Please refer to the chart and the previous demonstrations for more details. After completing section 1 of the skirt piece, don't cut the yarn when you finish crocheting. I won't demonstrate this part. If during the crocheting process you encounter a situation where one ball of yarn runs out, just pick up the new yarn. Leave about 10 centimeters for both yarn tails. Combine them together, and tie a knot. Then continue with normal crocheting. The yarn tails can be woven in later following the texture of the piece. You can hide it on the wrong side. Next, crochet the edging for section 1. Start crocheting from the ending position of section 1. First, make 1 chain. Rotate the piece clockwise. On the edge of the equals is double crochet. Work 2 single crochets. Then, at the left side, where the beginning chain is, work 2 single crochets. Continue along the left side of the double crochets and the beginning chains. Work 2 single crochets in each stitch. Now we've come to the side where we crocheted chains and single crochets in section 1. Pick up and work 3 single crochets along this double crochet edge. Continue downward, working 2 single crochets for each double crochet or beginning chain edge, and working 3 single crochets along the side of the double crochets that correspond to the row of chains and single crochets like this. Finish crocheting this side. Now you've completed double crochet edge of the last row. Let's take a look at the piece. Since 2 strands were picked up, to crochet double crochets in the foundation chain. Now there is such 1 strand left in each chain. Pick up the first strand from the leftmost chain. Crochet 3 single crochets. While crocheting, place the starting yarn tail above the hook. Weave it in as you go. Then pick up the next chain on the left side. Work 1 single crochet for each stitch. Continue until you finish this row. Don't forget to keep weaving in the starting tail as you go. On the last chain, crochet 3 single crochets. This brings you to the other side of the piece. Keep going by following the pattern. Work 2 single crochets in the double crochet and the beginning chain, and working 3 single crochets along the side of the chains that correspond to the row of chains and single crochets like this. After finishing this side, Complete the last 2 single crochets. Secure with 1 chain. Leave a 5 cm tail and cut the yarn. Tighten it gently. Hide the yarn tail along the texture of the piece on the wrong side. You can weave in a few more stitches before trimming off any excess tails. H1 of edging is now done. Move on to H2. For this row, you'll need to switch colors for crocheting. Take the corresponding yarn. The color scheme is random here. Please refer to the chart for details. Make a slip knot. Leave a tail of about 5 centimeters. Hang the yarn tail on your left hand. On the right side of the piece. H1 of edging. Join the yarn at the first single crochet. Insert into the stitch. Pull the slip knot through. Adjust the size of the loop. Be mindful not to let the knot exit through the piece. The yarn is now joined. Place the yarn tail at the back and set it aside for now. Start with 3 chains as the beginning chain. Work 1 chain. Skip the first stitch on the left. Work 1 double crochet in the second stitch. Work 1 more chain. Work 1 double crochet in the second stitch on the left. Take a look at the piece. Following the pattern of skipping 1 stitch. Work 1 double crochet. Between each double crochet, add 1 chain as a spacer. Crochet until you finish this edge. Now you've completed the last double crochet on this side. In the adjacent stitch on the left, work 1 double crochet and 1 chain. Repeat 3 times. After completing, work 1 double crochet in the adjacent stitch. Continue following the pattern of skipping 1 stitch, and work 1 double crochet and 1 chain. At the corner, correspondingly work 3 double crochets using the same method. Work 1 chain between each double crochet as a spacer. Finish crocheting the remaining 2 sides. Complete the last group of chain and double crochets. It actually ends up here. If there are extra stitches or missing stitches earlier, and there is 1 stitch remaining here, work 1 more double crochet. H2 is now complete. That was a row of double crochets. Now move on to H3. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Turn the piece. Next, work single crochets 1 by 1 by picking up the double crochets and the large chain spaces correspondingly until you get to the corner. Now you've reached this point. First, work 3 single crochets, 1 stitch to another. Then make 2 single crochets in the left chain space. Continue working single crochets, one stitch to another, until you reach the next corner. Now you've arrived at this spot. First, work 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Then make 2 single crochets in the left chain space. Continue working single crochets, one stitch to another, until you finish this side entirely. Complete the last single crochet, fasten off normally. Hide all yarn tails on your own. H3 is now completed. This is a row of single crochets. The technique for crocheting the remaining edging parts is relatively simple. Follow the pattern used in H2 and H3. Crochet the corresponding rows of double crochets and single crochets as needed. Pay attention, you need to switch colors for H4 and H8 while crocheting. For each row, the specific number of stitches at the corners and the insertion points should be referenced from the paper chart. The method is quite simple. I won't demonstrate it here. Everyone can refer to the chart and the previous demonstrations on their own. After finishing the remaining part of the edging, up to this point, the crochet technique for the skirt piece has been fully explained. On the side of the piece without the edging, it will be the waistband of the skirt. The front and back pieces of the skirt are exactly identical. Everyone can refer to the chart on your own, and crochet the other piece in the same way as demonstrated earlier. I won't repeat the demonstration. Next, we'll work on the pleats. Let's take a look at the finished product. The pleats are made by alternating 2 different widths of lace trims. They are joined using the join as you go method. When joining, treat 1 wide lace trim and 1 narrow lace trim as a group. Use the middle 3 lace trims as the center. The groups on both left and right sides should be distributed symmetrically. Pay attention when joining, whether you are crocheting on the front or the back of the piece. On the right side, the stitch pattern for joining the right edge of each group is crocheted on the front of the piece. The other one is crocheted on the back. On the left side, the stitch pattern for joining the left edge of each group is crocheted on the front of the piece. Next, please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method. I will continue to demonstrate using this sample swatch. The sample has fewer stitches and rounds for simplicity. It's only to show the method. Place the piece with the front facing you. The waist should be positioned upward. Let's start by joining the narrow lace trim on the left side of the piece. Take the narrow lace trim. The lace trim has no distinction between the front and back. Place the piece with the front facing you. Position the left edge upward. The waist should be pointing to the right. Place the narrow lace trim behind the piece. Leave about 5 centimeters of length at the right end. Align the edge of the lace trim with this edge of the piece. Join from the right to the left. Take the corresponding yarn and hook. I will continue to demonstrate using cotton yarn. Colors are random. For specific yarn, color scheme and hook size, please refer to the paper charts. Make a slip knit with the yarn. On the first stitch of the right side, in the last row of the edging. Join the yarn by picking up both the stitch and the side hole of the lace trim behind. Chain 1 as the beginning chain. Then pick up this stitch and the whole of the lace trim behind. Work 1 single crochet. Chain 2 as a spacer. Skip the stitch on the left. Then, pick up the next stitch and the corresponding hole of the lace trim behind, or the position between the holes. Work 1 single crochet and chain 2. Pay attention to adjusting the narrow lace trim while crocheting the edging. Make it flat and matched up. Don't let it shrink. Then skip 1 stitch as a spacer. At the same time, pick up the corresponding position of the piece and lace trim. Work 1 single crochet and chain 2. Let's take a look at the piece. The joining pattern for this edge is: skip 1 stitch as a spacer, then pick up the piece and lace trim to work a single crochet. Chain 2 between each 2 single crochets. Continue crocheting following this method until you finish this edge. Now we've reached this position. Fasten off the yarn normally. Hide the yarn tails at both ends. Leave about 5 centimeters on the narrow lace trim before cutting. This way, the narrow lace trim is joined to the Mamianqun skirt piece. You can see that the stitches used for this row of joining are all on the front of the Mamianqun skirt piece. Treat this side as the front of the skirt. Next, take the other edge of the narrow lace trim and join it to the wide lace trim. Take out the wide lace trim. The wide lace trim also has no distinct front or back. Place the front of the skirt facing you. Position the narrow lace trim at the top. Place the wide lace trim on top of the narrow lace trim. Again, join from right to left. You can see that on the side of the wide lace trim, there are individual holes like this. First, find the hole that corresponds to the edge of the skirt piece. Note that on the right side, leave 2 centimeters of lace. Join yarn by picking up both the hole and the narrow lace trim behind it. Then, work 1 single crochet at this position. Next, make 2 chains. Move to the next hole. Pick up the corresponding position from the narrow lace trim in the back. Work 1 single crochet and then make 2 chains. Pay attention to adjusting the lace trim while crocheting the edge. Make sure it lays flat and matches up correctly. Crochet single crochet stitches by picking up both the holes of the wide lace and the corresponding positions of the narrow lace. Between each 2 single crochets, make 2 chains. Continue working all the way down this side until you reach the hole that corresponds to the side of the skirt piece. Now you've reached this position. Fasten off the yarn normally. Hide the beginning and ending yarn tails on your own. Leave about 2 centimeters. Cut off the wide lace trim. This joins the wide lace trim to the narrow lace trim. You can see that the joining stitches are all on the back of the skirt piece. This side will be the back side of the skirt. Continue joining the next narrow lace trim. Take the narrow lace trim. Keep working with the front of the skirt facing you. Place the end-joined edge of the wide lace trim facing up. Place the narrow lace trim underneath the wide lace trim. Roughly align the right ends. Join from right to left. Find the corresponding chain space on the edge of the piece. Join the yarn in this position. Work with 1 single crochet, followed by 2 chains as a pattern. Crochet by picking up each hole of the wide lace trim and the corresponding position of the narrow lace trim until reaching the corresponding space at the edge of the Mamianqun skirt piece on the other end. After completing it, fasten off normally. Hide the beginning and ending yarn tails yourself. Leave 2 centimeters as well. Cut off the narrow lace trim. You can see that all the joining stitches of this row are on the front of the skirt. The joining for the remaining lace is relatively simple. I'll explain using the finished product. For the pleat section, a narrow lace trim and a wide lace trim are considered as one group of lace. As you work, place the piece or the wide lace trim facing toward yourself. Join from right to left. For each piece of lace, one side is crocheted on the front of the piece, and the other side is crocheted on the back of the piece. First, join the same number of lace groups to the 2 opposite sides of the 2 Mamianqun skirt pieces. Refer to the chart for the exact number of groups. You can also adjust the number of groups based on actual conditions. Pay attention when making adjustments. Increase or decrease the same number of lace groups on both sides simultaneously. Finally, refer to the diagram to join the middle lace. The joining method for the pleat sections and the number of lace groups on both sides are the same. Note that when joining, for one of the middle lace joining, you need to leave an opening for the zipper first. Then join the yarn and continue joining. Refer to the paper chart for the specific position and length. Pay attention that you need to first find the holes on the lace that correspond to the edges of the mamianqun skirt piece, then start reserving the opening length. The method is relatively simple. Everyone can join all the lace trims and the pieces for the skirt on their own. I won't demonstrate it here. After all the lace trims and skirt pieces have been joined, it's time to hem the bottom edge of the pleats. I'll continue demonstrating with this sample. Use the remaining yarn from the lace joining to sew. Cut a piece of thread with a width approximately twice that of one side of the pleated section. Pull out 2 strands. Thread them into a needle. I've already threaded it here. Tie a double knot at the end. Place the back of the piece facing you, with the waist facing down. The excess part of the lace above the pleated section is folded forward along the edges of the 2 mamianqun skirt pieces at the same height, and sew from right to left. Insert the needle into the rightmost lace, about 0.5 centimeters below the folded edge. Sew through. Then insert it into the loop reserved at the end. Gently tighten the thread. Sew along the fold position downward. Try to keep the lace flat while sewing. Keep the stitches roughly even. When you reach the seam of the 2 laces, fold the lace in the direction of the crocheted joining. Insert the needle and sew under the crocheted position. Then continue sewing. Be mindful not to pull the thread too tight, so the lace won't pucker. When you reach the seam of the 2 laces again, similarly, fold the lace in the direction of the crocheted joining. Sew under the crocheted position. Continue downward using this method to sew the entire pleated section on one side. After sewing, pick a nearby loop and tie a double knot. Hide the tail. Then trim the excess. The hem for one side of the pleats is now complete. Then follow the same method to finish the hem for the other side of the pleats. The technique is relatively simple, so I won't demonstrate it. Next, we'll work on the waistband. Crochet back and forth along the top edge of the skirt piece and the pleats. While crocheting, you'll need to increase stitches at one end to create an extra section, and leave space for 2 buttonholes. There are no new stitches used. Next, please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. First, we'll join the yarn. Take out the corresponding yarn. I'll demonstrate using cotton yarn. The colors are random. Make a slip knit with the yarn tail. Place the front of the dress facing you, with the waist at the top. Find the opening of the pleat. Start crocheting from above the lace trim on the left side of the opening. Fold all the lace trims on the left side toward the right. Tuck the narrow lace trim inside. Then match it to the height of the piece. Fold the excess lace trim backward. Be mindful to keep the narrow lace trim inside. Insert into the wide lace trim on the right side, about 0.5 centimeters from the top. Make sure to go through both the folded lace trim behind. Join the yarn. Then make 1 chain as your beginning chain. Insert into the same spot and make 1 single crochet. Next, insert on the left side at an approximate position, and continue crocheting single crochets. The insertion position is not fixed. Stay about 0.5 centimeters from the top edge. Crochet approximately 3 to 4 single crochets, in a relatively even manner, corresponding to each wide lace. In the end, the total number of stitches picked up in the pleat section should match the stitch count on the chart. Pay attention. While crocheting, always fold the narrow lace trim to the inside. Go through all layers of the lace trim at the same time. Don't forget the folded lace trim behind. When finish the corresponding position of the lace trim, then move on to the edging area of the skirt piece. Pick up the stitches along the edge and crochet. Similarly, make the corresponding number of single crochets. Now we are at section 1 of the skirt piece. Directly pick up the stitches and crochet 1 stitch to another. Then follow this method to continue. Finish crocheting the corresponding position of the skirt piece. Pay attention. When you reach the edging position on the other side of the skirt piece, fold the narrow lace trim on the left side to the inside first. Fold the extra part backward. After that, match the stitches one by one. Continue to work single crochets. Now we are back at the pleat section. First, find the wide lace trim in the middle. Use this lace as the center, following the joining direction. Fold the right side of the lace to the left. Fold the left side of the lace to the right. Tuck both narrow lace trims inside. Then fold the excess lace from the top backward. Note: make sure all the narrow lace trims stay inside at all times. Now we are at the pleat again. Level it with the height of the side pieces. Then follow the same method. Insert the corresponding positions of the lace trims at the same time. Crochet approximately 3 to 4 single crochets in a relatively even manner, corresponding to each wide lace. The total number of stitches required for the pleat position can be referenced from the paper chart. While crocheting, adjust the lace trim in time, ensuring that the narrow lace stays inside all along. After finishing the pleat section, follow the same method to crochet the corresponding area of the piece. Now we're at the pleat on the right side of the opening. Fold the wide lace trim to the left in the same way. And fold the narrow lace trim on the left directly to the back. Then fold the excess lace trim from the top backward. And crochet the corresponding number of single crochets. Once done, continue with 7 chains. H1 is now finished. Let's move on to H2. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Turn your piece. Begin from the second chain on the left side. Work 1 single crochet in each stitch. After finishing, you can try it on to check the size. If the waist is too big or too small, adjust the number of single crochets in the pleat section. Recrochet if needed. The crochet method for H3 to H5 is quite simple. Just work back and forth with 1 single crochet in each stitch. I won't demonstrate this part. Everyone can finish the first 5 rows of the waist on their own. Starting from H6, you need to leave space for the buttonholes. I'll demonstrate using this sample. The sample has fewer rows for simplicity. It's only to show the technique. Start with 1 chain as the beginning chain. Turn your piece. Make 2 single crochets evenly. Then chain 3. Skip 3 stitches. Starting from the 4th stitch, work 1 single crochet in each stitch. Finish this row. H6 is now completed. Moving on to H7. Follow the same method. Return and work single crochets. Until the chain before H6. Pick up the top 2 loops of the chains. Work 3 single crochets, 1 in each stitch. Then finish the remaining 2 stitches. H7 is now complete. The buttonhole is done. The remaining part for the back waist is simpler. Just work back and forth. 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way down. At the same position on H1 too, leave another buttonhole. The method is the same as for H6. Everyone can finish the remaining part of the waist on your own. After finishing, fasten off the yarn normally. Weave in the ends. I won't repeat the demonstration. After completing the waist, you need to sew on the buttons. I'll demonstrate using this sample. Place the right side of the piece facing you, then locate the buttonhole and its corresponding other side. Sew the button here. You can also adjust the button position based on the actual wearing effect. Use the remaining yarn from crocheting the edging. Thread a needle. Insert into the corresponding position on the piece. Leave a little tail at the back. Then sew the button on. You can sew it a few more times for extra security. Make sure to sew it securely. Tie a double knot with the beginning and ending yarn tails. Hide the yarn tails. Trim off any excess. That's it for sewing one button. Fasten the buttonhole directly onto the button. For the other button, when the first buttonhole is fastened, find the corresponding position of this buttonhole, and sew it using the same method. The technique is the same. I will not repeat the demonstration. Up to this point, the making method for the main part of the skirt has been explained.